Hello again, guys. This is part two of simplifying solving using roots. In part one, we talked about how we translate parent function graphs based off the vertex and inflection point, how that shifts the graph over. And then I went a little bit about simplifying cube roots. Okay. I want to continue with that, except now I want to give you a problem like this. Let's do a solving problem. Okay. And we're going to try to solve x plus 3 cubed equals 8. Okay, so we're going to try solving this. I want x. I don't want all this other jazz here. I can't move this plus 3 yet because this entire quantity is under cube, is being cubed. So simple. Let's get rid of the cube. Let's think about the inverse of a cube. What's the opposite of cubing something? Well, that's going to be cube rooting it. But what I do to one side, that too. I'm going to cube root that 8. So let's think about it. A cube root to a cube essentially cancels those out. It cancels it out. So what am I left with? I'm just left with x plus 3 on this side. And on this side is simple, just the cube root of 8. The cube root of 8 is going to be 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Last step, minus 3, minus 3, x equals -1. Absolutely perfect. Okay, and if you really wanted to know if that was the correct answer, simple. I'm going to go back to this original equation. If I put a -1 here in the place of x, I get -1 plus 3, which is 2 to the power of. That's just double checking, but yeah, we knew that was going to be the right answer. So let me do one more just like that. Actually, I'm going to make this one, next one a little bit more complex. Okay, let's do this one instead. X plus 2 cubed minus equals one step higher now. Really, all I did is really just put a number there. That's not part of the cube. That's not part of this cube party with the x plus 2 cube. Let's do that first. Let's get that out of the way. Let's take care of that first. I'm going to try purple here. Hopefully this works out nicely. Let's see. Plus 4, boom. Plus 4, new line. X plus 2 cubed all equals -8. Okay, now just like the last problem we did, we have to get rid of that cube, and in order to do so, we have to cube root that whole thing. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Cube root and cube cancel each other out. We're left with x plus 2 equals the cube root of -8. Now, the cube root of 8 is 8. I'm sorry, is 2. Cube root of 8 is 2. Cube root of -8 would be negative. -2, -2. Our final answer is x equals -4. And we're done. Very nicely done. All right, let's move on to a different type of problem. Okay, so I'm going to erase that. Okay, let's move it on now. You're also going to see problems like this. You have to simplify this. Not 8 to the power 2, it's not 8 to the power 3, it's 8 to the power of 2/3. Okay, so a lot of students might be confused when they see, like, how do I simplify 8 to the power of 2/3? I'll put a few. 7 to the power. I'm also going to put up 32. I'm just going to do a few of these real quick. Okay, very simple. Whenever you have a base to the power of a fraction, okay, I want you to think of it this way. Think of the numerator, think of that as your power, and think of the denominator here as your root. So that's going to be the power, the 2 is going to be the power, the root is going to be 3. For this one, the power will be 2, and the root will be 5. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me show you what I mean. I'm essentially going to rewrite this thing as 8 to the power of 2, but then the root of the third root, so the cube root. Now you can do this two ways here. Okay, I'm gonna show you there's two ways to do this. One way I would do it, but really there's two ways to do it. You can do 8 squared. Let's do it. Let's do the power. I'm gonna give this as a cube root. 8 squared would be 8 times 8, which is 64. Now I'm asking you for the cube root of 64. The cube root of 64 is 4, because 4 times 4 times 4 equals 64. That's our final answer. Great. I said there's another way to do it. There is. We'll get 4 again, I promise you. Another way to do it, don't do the squared first. Do this cube root first. Let's try that. What's the cube root of 8? That's going to be 2. But now we're going to do the power of 2. And 2 to the power of 2 is 4. Same answer. Okay? This one, let's write it. 27 to the power of 2, and then all of it to the cube root. I'm not about to do 27 squared, okay, guys? That's going to be a big number. I do not want to mess with that. So for this reason, that's why I showed you the second way of doing it. I'm actually going to do the cube root of 27 first. Let's do that first. The cube root of 27 is 3. 3 times 3 times 3. And then I just have to square that. Square the 3, you get 3 squared, which is 9. Done. Same thing here. 32 to the power of 2. And we're going to do to the 5th root this time. Again, I am not about to do 32 to the power of 2. 32 times 32? No. Not going to have, that's not going to be fun. I'm instead going to do the 5th root of 32. Now, the 5th root of 32, I mean, it's got to be a really small number. It's not going to be, yeah, and I just kind of know just by doing this a few times, that's going to be 2. Because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is going to give us 32. And with more practice, you'll see these. You'll be second nature. You'll know that it has to be 2. Okay? We're not going to give you numbers here that just don't work out. You know, they're going to be perfect fifths. Okay? So it's going to be a 2. That whole thing is 2, and I have to square that, which is going to give me 4. And that's our final answer. Good job. Okay. Moving on now. I am running out of time, so let's move on. I still got a couple different types to show you. Okay. That's done. Now let us jump to, I want to jump to something. What if I said the 5th of x to the power of 10, y to the power of 8, z to the power of 5? And let's get you a second one too. Let's do the 7th root of x to the power of 7, y to the power of 14, z to the power of 9. Okay, now remember when I said the fraction is the power over the root? Okay, so I want you to think about it this way. If I said the power over the root, this is essentially saying x to the power of 10 over 5. But wait a minute. We know what 10 divided by 5 is. What's 10 over 5? That's just x to the power of 2. So this essentially just comes out to become an x to the power of 2. So we have part of our answer already done. Let's think about the next one. Now this one's interesting because it's y to the power of 8 over 5. Sorry, but 5 doesn't divide perfectly into 8, and that's okay. But how many times does 5 go into 8 completely? It goes in 1 time. So if you turn this into like a mixed number, you would see that 8 over 5 basically becomes 1 and 3/5. Essentially is what it becomes. Okay, so this is the way I like to think about it. How many times does 5 go into 8? It goes in 1 time. So I'm going to take a y out. But how many is left? If 5 goes into 8 1 time, the remainder there is 3. So I'm going to open up my square root, and I'm going to leave 3 of those y's in there. Okay, so let's do that same common sense here. 5 goes into 5 how many times? 5 goes into 5 1 time. Perfect. So that's just going to be a z, so the z is going to come outside, and we're left with that. I know this sounds a little bit confusing right now. Just trying to kind of show you guys the shortcut. Let's try this one. Very similar. How many times does 7 go into 7? 1 time, even, no remainder. Okay, so that x comes out 1 time. Perfect. How many times does the y, the 14, go into, 7 go into 14? That's going to be 2 times evenly. Great. So it's going to be y to the power of 2. Let's look at this last one. Okay, 7 goes into 9, not evenly, but 7 does go into 9 one time. So I'm going to put a z out here, but there's a remainder, and there's a remainder of 2. So I'm going to leave inside the 7th root, I'm going to leave a z to the power of 2. By the way, I made a mistake here on this first one. This is not a square root. Okay, so I shouldn't be messing with that. So that's that right there. Sorry to kind of rush through this one. I do have one last one to go over before we sign off for this lesson. Okay. And lastly, I do want to show you another solving problem, something that goes like this. Two different problems. Let's solve that one first. First and foremost, easiest thing to move. Let's move that 7. Minus 7. Okay, rewriting it. 3x to the power of 4 equals, that's going to be 48. Great. Okay, reverse PEMDAS. Now let's take out that 3. Divide the 3. Divide the 3. X to the power of 4 equals 48 divided by 3 is 16. Now, some students here, they can use mental math. They go, okay, what to the power of 4 is going to give us 16? That's 2. And you're absolutely right. You can do that and you're perfectly fine. I'm not going to trip. However, I do want to show you the mathematical algebraic way of doing this. You want to cancel out that power of 4. In order to cancel out the power of 4, you have to do the 4th root of that. Okay? What I do to one side, I do to the other. And that's going to cancel out the power of 4. So we're just left with x is equal to the 4th root of 16. So what number times itself 4 times go to 16? And of course, we just said it. That was 2. Okay? That's our final answer. Let's do the same concept here. 5, 2x to the power of 5 equals 4. What's next is we do divide by 2. Divide by 2. I just noticed I drew my 2 like this, but then this 2 like this. I don't know. Okay, anyways, and that's going to give us x to the power of 5 equals 32. And lastly, we want to get rid of that power of 5. So I'm going to 5th root it. That's the inverse of power of 5 is the 5th root it. And I'm going to 5th root this one as well. And I'm going to get x equals, well, what number multiplies with itself 5 times to get 32? That's going to... Okay, so now that we're done with that, I'm going to give you guys some homework problems. So if you remember, the square root graphs, I gave you one problem at the end of that. Cube root graphs, I gave you 2 problems at the end of that. So that was a total of 3 problems. So now we're continuing. This will be problem number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that would be all. This is the last YouTube video and the last homework set that you're going to have before that's going to be due before your quiz, your Schoology quiz that you're going to have. Okay? So take your time on those. I hope everybody's got it. If you do need help, check with your teacher for office hours and when you can kind of review this with them. Thank you.